These are the Pocono Mountains in northeastern Pennsylvania, and we're at one of the most unique race courses in the world, the tri-oval that is Pocono International Raceway. And we're here for Championship Auto Racing Team's Pocono 500. Hello, I'm Paul Page, and this has been a most exciting season for kart. 5 races, 5 different winners. At the first race of the season, it was Gordon Johncock. And then at the second kart race, Tom Sneva backed up his Indianapolis victory with a win. At Cleveland, it was Al Unser breaking a long dry spell. And then a rookie, John Paul Jr., won at the Michigan 500. And Mario Andretti put his name in the winner's column at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. So it seems like it's anybody's race here today. And to add to the interest, 1/3 of this starting field is composed of rookies on one very rough course. One name is absent, though. You'll remember at the Michigan 500, Gordon Johncock careened into the wall after a part on his car broke. And then when he slid to a stop, we found that bones in both legs were broken. At the same time, his teammate, Johnny Rutherford, was recovering from similar injuries suffered in practice for the Indianapolis 500. Well, Johnny Rutherford is back in a race car, and Gordon Johncock has joined us as a driver expert.
Johnny here, my teammate, has got healed up from his accident that he had at the Speedway in May, and I think he's ready to go with a new version of the Wildcat here that we hope that we've done some testing with and hope is as good as some of the rest of the cars. John, maybe you got some comments on the car. I know you had a little time for a little practice, but not a whole lot because of all the rain that we've had here.
Yes, Gordy, the new Sea Ray Wildcat, Sea Ray Boats Wildcat is a much better car than they had for us in Indianapolis, for sure. As you know, they've redesigned the back end of the car. The body is different on the car, the aerodynamics, so it's quite a bit better, and I think you're really going to like it.
Well, I hope so, but, you know, I really don't know how long before it's going to be back, but I know you're here to take over. I know what it's like now going through the healing pains that you had here for 3 or 4 months, but it does seem good to be here, although I'd much rather be in the race car. But,
you know, it seems like we were doing this in shifts. I was the first shift, and now you're the second shift.
Well,
you're ready to go again. I'm not going to get back out.
You're not going to be the third shift, that's for sure.
No.
Well, neither one of us are sitting on the pole today, but I think Gary Gerald is down in the pit area with Tom Sneva, who's sitting on the pole today for the Pocono 500.
Well, Gordy, this is the first time in 2 years that Tom Sneva has been on the pole, and while he's happy to be on the pole, I know there are some major concerns that relate to the racetrack and the condition of the course, Tom.
Well, that's true. The track is real rough, especially on the main straightaway, and, you know, when we're starting 2 and 3 abreast, it's going to be tough on the inside guys, especially when you try to accelerate through all the problems. It's not hard to jump the rear wheels off the ground, and if they're spinning and it comes down, it could be going some other direction but straight. So the guys are going to have to be very careful on the start of the race.
I noticed in the drivers' meeting you broached the idea of a single-file restart. There wasn't much support from the other drivers.
Well, there wasn't, but, you know, I hope in the back of the mind they realize that this is a little more serious than they might be thinking. So the guys are going to have to be heads up, and, you know, if they're smart, they're going to try to fall in line and not try to run down low through the rough stuff at the beginning of the race.
Well, not only is there a concern at the start of the race, when you go 200 laps on a surface such as this, it's got to be tough on all of the equipment as well as you, a driver.
For sure. It's going to be the toughest race we've had on the equipment because it is so rough. And if you're forced to pass a lot of people because of pit stop problems or whatever, you're going to have to get down in places on the racetrack that you don't want to be, and you take the chance of hurting the equipment.
Tom, 1/3 of the field are rookie drivers. Their first time competing at Pocono. How big a concern is that to you as a veteran driver?
Well, it is. You know, obviously the chapters on their books aren't complete, and we're going to have to try to give them as much room as we can. But again, there's not that much room out here because the track conditions, and especially the corners. There's only one groove in the corner that you can really go fast on. So it's going to be a heads-up race, and hopefully the guys are using their heads today.
So obviously a lot on the mind of Tom Sneva as he gets to start from the pole position for 500 miles here at Pocono. Let's go back up to Paul Page.
Thank you, Gary. A beautiful day here in the Poconos. A crowd of over 45,000 here to enjoy this 500-mile race. The field is now ready. Temperatures comfortably in the mid-70s. We expect a fast afternoon. There is Howdy Holmes' car, and if you look over his right shoulder, you'll see the NBC kart cam, the view that it will be giving us throughout this race, looking over his shoulder, down at his instrument console, and out ahead on the race course. Our pole sitter, Tom Sneva, alongside Teo Fabi, who sat on the pole at Michigan, sat on the pole at Milwaukee and at Indianapolis, but starts here in second place. The first two cars are March cars powered by that Cosworth engine. And now the engines are started. The field begins to pull away. And Chief Steward Wally Dallenbach, like last year, has decided because the course is so rough here at Pocono, they will start in rows of 2 rather than in their traditional rows of 3 for a 500-mile race. All cars now started and away. And we'll be back with the start of the Pocono 500 right after this. Well, the field out and rolling as we're ready for the Domino's Pizza Pocono 500. Tom Sneva and his Texaco Star begins to scrub in the tires, as does Bobby Rahal just behind him. Let's take a look at the field. On the pole, car number 5, Tom Sneva, the 77 winner here at Pocono, and knows the last 4 races have been won from the pole. Teo Fabi on the outside has been the pole sitter for the other 2 500s this year, Indianapolis and Michigan. The second row on the inside, Bobby Rahal finished 3rd here last year, while he battled for the lead at one time with Kogan and Rick Mears. On the outside, the defending champion, car number 1, Rick Mears. He holds the qualifying record here, but he's in a PC-10 for this race. Bill Whittington on the inside of the 3rd row, a rookie here at Pocono, but very, very fast. Alongside, another rookie, Al Unser Jr. He is driving a March, not the Eagle that he has been using in the earlier part of the season. The 4th row on the inside, Johnny Rutherford, a combination of a Wildcat and a March. Remember, he broke his hand in an accident here last year. Al Unser Sr. alongside Johnny in car number 7 on the outside. This is this year's model Penske PC-11. Mario Andretti in the Lola that they've had so much trouble with in the earlier part of the season is on the inside of the 4th row. And alongside Mario, young Scott Brayton. A marvelous start for Scotty, who's moved up because several cars were disqualified. As we look at the rest of the field, we see that there are 12 rookies going to start here at Pocono. And the back of the field now consists of Kevin Kogan, Danny Ungayas, and Steve Chassie. Their cars, when measured after qualification, were found to have illegal heights of the rear wing, and they were moved to the back of the field. And here's how it looks from the 8th row, just over Howdy Holmes' right shoulder, as he begins to close up, and the field now strings toward the green flag. Tom Sneva brings him down. Nick Bernaro waves the green flag, and we're off and racing at the Pocono 500. Tom Sneva jumps into the lead. Teo Fabi drops in right behind. Jose Garza came way down to the inside of the course. They may have started in rows of 2, but they darted out 3 abreast, coming down the main straightaway. Now the battle begins as Tom Sneva leads onto the long pond stretch, heading for the 2nd turn. The first 2 turns here are banked. The 3rd turn is very, very flat.
Yes, it is, Paul, but as you see, it was a very clean start. When they come down the front straightaway, they still were 3 abreast, and that's what the drivers were really complaining about because the track was too rough. But still, when they get running out there, you really don't think about that. You're thinking about getting by the guy in front of you. And as they enter turn 3 now, you're going to see them get pretty well single filed out on the first lap.
Tom Sneva is out in front and completes lap number 1. In the lead, right behind him is Teo Fabi, and then a battle developing for 3rd place now. Rick Mears currently occupies it, but Bobby Rahal is tucked in right behind. Several cars moving out onto the rough section of the course as Johnny Rutherford comes along, tries to do battle with Bill Whittington. Coming through the first turn, Johnny Rutherford in that bright blue car. It is still Tom Sneva that leads.
If you watch closely, Paul, you can see how rough the racetrack is, especially on the front straightaway. If they get out 1 or 2 car width, it's really rough. They have done some patchwork on the track. The number 2 turn is a lot smoother, I believe, than it used to be. Turn 3 is a little bit rough, but not all that bad. You know, there's definitely some talk about having to do something to the racetrack before next year because it does tear up the equipment on the car and causing to break suspensions and veering the cars off into the wall.
Tom Sneva roars down the main stretch in first place. Teo Fabi sits in 2nd. Rick Mears is in 3rd, being challenged by Bobby Rahal as Rahal comes out alongside. And Mario Andretti close in just a bit, but Rick Mears holds on to 3rd place. The leaders now separating themselves just a bit. Here are the leaders as they come onto the long pond straight. And we watch as Rick Mears leads Bobby Rahal and Mario Andretti, but Rahal now being challenged by Mario Andretti. Andretti pulls along the inside. They're chasing Rick Mears, and Andretti gets past Rahal and moves into 4th place, now beginning a challenge on Rick Mears. First, 2nd, come through the screen. Here is Rick Mears and Mario Andretti, now pulling just a bit ahead of Bobby Rahal.
I think Mario is doing an exceptionally good job, you know, Paul. They've been having trouble with that car all year long. It's a brand new Lola that they had designed this winter and built, and he really hasn't been running all that well on the ovals. The road courses, he's been doing good, but on the ovals, they really haven't been doing that well, but it looks like they kind of found a little secret somewhere, and Mario's really coming up through there.
Well, it certainly worked well on the road course, the 4.2 miles at Elkhart Lake. It gave Mario his first victory of the season, the first time that he has been able to win in that Lola, and it's been a very hard year for Eric Broadley. Carl Haas and that crew, the team, of course, owned by Carl Haas and Paul Newman. But now it's performing well here at Pocono as Mario Andretti is beginning to chase even closer Rick Mears. Back to the lead serial once again. Tom Sneva, as now Teo Fabi closes down just a bit on Tom Sneva.
He is. He's really running well. I think Tails just kind of is going to run pretty consistent and take it easy. You know, they've had problems. They haven't won any races yet this year, but they have done well. But here comes Mario challenging Rick Mears now. He's gone around him for third spot.
Indeed, Mario Andretti gets the job done, moves up into third place, and once he gets past Rick Mears, really pulls away quickly. Now sets his sights on the back end of Teo Fabi's car, and Bobby Rahal is closing on Rick Mears, too.
Yes, he is. It looks like he might be pulling out to go around him. He's giving her a shot. He didn't quite make her going into 2. You can bet he'll be right there when they come to 3, though.
So the battle in this race has not been at the front. Tom Sneva has led from the start. Teo Fabi dropped into second place and has stayed there, but a revolving battle now developing around third place. And currently, it's occupied by Mario Andretti. Rick Mears has dropped back to 4th, but Bobby Rahal continues his challenge of Rick Mears. And in 5th place, Johnny Rutherford has moved up. Your teammate has put that brand new car. It's a combination of a Wildcat and a March, and it's running very well.
Oh, yes, he has, Paul, and I think he's pretty happy with the car. They really didn't get much of a chance to do much running with the car because Thursday and Friday it rained pretty much all day, and they got a little practice on Saturday and qualified. And by talking to Johnny, they're very happy with the car. I think the car is going to do real well in the race.
Teo Fabi on the long pond stretch moved up, gave Tom Sneva a bit of a challenge, now drops back. He just seems to be poking at him, trying to find out where Sneva is fast and where he might be able to get by. Here now, Bobby Rahal coming alongside and beginning to push around Rick Mears as Bobby Rahal gets past Rick Mears, picks up 4th place, pushing Mears back to 5th. Johnny Rutherford is just off the screen, sitting in 6th place. You can see Rutherford as he comes down low. And let's go back and look at 10th place now. Here's the view over Howdy Holmes' shoulder. That's Don Whittington down on the inside, Chip Ganassi on the outside. A smoke, they touch tires. Whittington is spinning. Whittington up against the wall, a hard hit. He hits it again and again as Whittington slams into the wall. It looks like he just barely touched with Chip Ganassi. You saw it. The same view that Howdy Holmes saw. Holmes started to the inside and got past. Whittington now sitting against the wall. The crews are there, no movement from the car. We'll see if Whittington's all right. Obviously, the yellow flag comes out, and Tom Sneva heads toward Gary Gerald.
Paul, even though it is early in the race, Sneva and his crew taking advantage of the yellow, coming in to top off with fuel. No rubber change for Sneva, and in fact, several other teams now springing in action as many cars come on the pit road.
And Don Whittington sprints across the track, so apparently he is okay. We'll be right back. Page with Gordon Johncock and Gary Gerald at the Pocono 500. The caution light is on. It was Don Whittington that put his car into the 3rd turn wall. And let's put Gordon Johncock in the driver's seat. And Gordy, with that accident, what happened?
Well, Paul, it looks like Chip Ganassi and Don Whittington touched wheels right there. Going into the number 3 corner, Don's going sideways there. Now you can see him going backwards. Now he's headed straight for the wall. Luckily there, he turned sideways and hits it sideways instead of straight on. Off comes the right rear wheel. The right front is still on, but it seems to be hitting him in the head all the time there. That's the 4th time right there. Don is very lucky that part of the suspension off the right front wheel didn't poke him as it was falling back on the car. Now you can see that it falls clear off the car, but yet it comes back and hits on the nose of the car again.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Don Whittington is one very lucky man because once he was able to hop out of the car, he ran, literally sprinted over to the infield. The car badly damaged on the right side, but again, we can speak to the safety of these Indianapolis cars because they absorbed the energy and absorbed the shock, and apparently Don Whittington's helmet did a good job as well. The speed picks up as Teo Fabi, with fine work from his crew, picks up the lead. The green flag now in the hands of the starter, and we're back to racing. That will be Mario Andretti that follows Teo down to the line. As the green flag comes out, Bobby Rahal is in third. Johnny Rutherford is in fourth. He comes alongside Rahal with an attempt, and little Al Unser drops in behind. That is Tom Sneva sitting way back now in sixth place.
Well, one thing we have to remember as they come down into that first turn, it's a compromised setup virtually on these race cars. All three turns are different, as you indicated earlier. Heavy degree banking, 18 degrees in that first turn, 8 degrees now as they come up on the tunnel turn, and then that nearly flat 6-degree third corner. So you've got to figure out which of these corners you want to set your car up for, hope that it performs well there, and then that you can get safely through the other two. And right now, it's working beautifully for Teo Fabi.
So now Teo is the leader, Mario Andretti in second place, but Teo can pick his way around this course, find what hopefully is the smoothest section. You'll notice, though, as these cars go over the bumps, how they will hop, and when they do so, they slam down on the pavement, and that begins to wear away the underside of the machine. Now let's go down to Gary Carroll.
George, it appears that Tom's car is apparently bottoming out down here on that lower line. How much of a problem is that going to be?
Well, we don't want it to bottom out and hit too much, but he has to go down there to pass the other cars, and there's a huge bump there, and he hits that. He's hit that a couple of times, and once he gets by the cars, he won't go down there anymore. He'll stay out in the groove.
Is there anything you can do on a pit stop to help that situation?
No, it just wears a little off the bottom.
So the mechanics are worried about the bumps. Before the race, the drivers were really concerned about them.
We've got our car working quite well, but there's no question that that this track is just very, very rough, and really it's a great layout for a track. You know, every corner is very different than the next, but with the roughness of it, just sort of takes the pleasure away.
The front straightaway is so rough here that when you pull out to pass a car, you get airborne going down the straightaways, and it's so hard on our suspension and our half shafts and everything that I see a few of them breaking.
It's so rough going down into turn one at 200 miles an hour. It really becomes a handful, and I don't know how we're going to handle that during the 500 miles, but it'll, as we did last year, it'll all go safe and smooth.
The car wants to start dribbling and bouncing, and it moves. It'll chatter across and move over one side or the other. I've had the car move as much as a half a car width.
The main straightaway is the worst part. If you stay in the single lane out by the fence, it's smoother there and it's not so bad, but it is rough.
So Gordon Johncock, let's take a look at it from Howdy Holmes' cockpit.
Oh, yes, Paul, you can see by watching through the camera on Howdy's car how rough it really is. And I think you'll see as the race goes on that most of the guys will get away from trying to pass going down the front straightaway. As you can see right now, they're going down the front straightaway 3 abreast. But I think they'll get set up a little better with their cars as it goes on, going through turn 1, so they can pass between turn 1 and 2, and also between turn 2 and 3, where it is a lot smoother.
You can definitely see Howdy's head get thrown back and forth when he slams over those bumps, and when you do it at 200 miles an hour, it rubs the bottom, the skid blocks, off these cars very quickly. The yellow flag is back out here at Pocono. The report is some debris on the race course, so they slowed the field down while we've been discussing the situation with the bumps here at Pocono International. But the kart crews have cleared the course, and it's safe to race again as the green flag comes out. It's Rick Mears, our leader. He is sitting back in the serial, though. Desiree Wilson actually will lead the field into the first turn in car number 34. Then Rick Mears, that's Vic Ferguson down on the inside, and Kevin Cogan is following Rick Mears. Now coming down through turn 1. Mears begins to close on Desiree, and Desiree loses it. Wilson into the wall. Mears gets by. Cogan gets by. Now several other cars involved. Several cars spinning as they come off the first turn. A car up over the wall. It slides down, pieces coming off of it. Several cars spinning. A serious and major accident here as we came back to the green flag. No movement in either car. That looks like John Paul Jr., the winner of the Michigan 500. No movement in his car. Desiree Wilson's car, the crews are there with her. She does not appear to be moving in the cockpit either. So a serious accident here. Chuck Ziprich is sitting stop. Gordy, let's look at it.
Yes, Paul. It looks like Desiree just starts to lose it there. It gets sideways. The car spins around. She hits the wall directly head on. Very luckily, by the looks of the car, that's no worse than it is. And the rest of them coming from behind You can see Scott Brayton there getting slowed down whatsoever, but here comes another car, goes right over the top of Scott Brayton. It looks like John Paul Jr., and he is very lucky. It looks like he almost went over the wall.
John Paul Jr. very close, rode up on top of this boilerplate wall here and comes to a stop. Now, Chuck Sipridge is okay, but they are working at both John Paul Jr.'s car and Desiree Wilson's car. Now, as they pull debris away from the cockpit area of John Paul Jr., he stands up. Remember, he has 2 broken legs. He's still healing from broken legs suffered at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in practice during the month of May. But as he steps down, apparently he's okay. He waves the crew away like he's all right. And Desiree Wilson, the indication is that she is all right as well, as the rest of the field comes through. But we do have reports that several other cars coming through that accident scene were involved, and there may be damage to at least 3 other race cars.
One thing you got to worry about right there, Paul, there is a lot of debris on the racetrack there, and you have to watch that you don't run over some of that and get a puncture in your tire, you know. And
there's evidence of it. Scotty Brayton, look at all the damage on the side of the car.
He's got a flat right rear tire there, and there's
Garza.
His front wing is completely gone on his car.
Bobby Rahal, his crew changing all 4 tires. He was in the accident as well, and apparently flat-spotted. That is, wore off one side of the tire and had to be changed. Gordy will look at it again as Desiree hits the wall head-on.
Yes, and I think the reason that Bobby Rahal, I think if you watch here close, I think you see Bobby Rahal right there in your circle. You can see Bobby Rahal spinning, and he's flat spotting the tires. And if he goes back to running 200 miles an hour, the car would be so out of balance that he wouldn't be able to handle it. It would pretty apt to shake something loose on the car.
But a marvelous piece of driving by both Rahal and Sipridge. Rahal manages to spin it 360 degrees, scrubbing off a lot of speed. That kept him from getting into the side of Desiree's car and drives around. Sipridge stalled on the course. Mario Andretti, who the crews had to give a push to get started again, has some damage to the nose of his car. In fact, here he comes over to the wall. Now, what he's done there is he's showing the nose of the car to the crew member at the wall so they can look at it and see what they might be able to do to repair it.
And, Paul, here in Jose Garza's pit, you can see no front nose wing on the number 55 car. Bevan Weston and the crew trying a makeshift job of taping up the nose. You can't help but wonder how dramatically the handling characteristics are going to change on this car as Jose pulls away.
So they're still under caution at the Pocono 500 in the aftermath of a most serious accident, but fortunately we're able to report no serious injuries. In fact, at this moment, John Paul is with Gary.
John, we understand you came away from one that was really a potentially close call. Can you tell us what you were able to see or how it set up or what happened?
Well, I don't really know who started the spin, but 2 cars started spinning in the middle of the pack, and I went to swerve out to the outer edge against the wall there, and someone locked up the brakes and come my way, so I just had nowhere to go and stuffed it right into the wall.
You were apprehensive coming into this race, only a couple of times on oval tracks. Obviously, this does not help that apprehension in the future.
Well, if I can survive 2 of these in a row, I'll be all right.
Thank you, John.
Thanks.
Still clearing the wreckage from the accident as they bring Desiree Wilson's car in. She, the second woman in the Pocono 500. Janet Guthrie in 76 and 77, the first. Scott Brayton also involved in that accident. He's with Gary.
Scott, this was really a tough one over there. Tell us what you were able to see and in your view, what happened.
Well, what happened to me is there's some cars that got loose up in front of me. Somebody spun and I think hit the wall. I'm not sure. I seen some debris. Steve Chassie was directly in front of me, and he was on the brakes hard, and I was coming up on him to close and trying to brake to keep from hitting him. And so I started up the track at all, and just at that time is when John Paul hit my rear tire and came over the top of me.
Young Scotty Brayton, but he's all right after that accident as well. So the caution is still out. Now, let's join Donna Deverona for the final survival of the fittest, the women's survival ball page with Gordon Johncock and Gary Gerald, and we're back at the Pocono 500, and Tom Sneva is back in the lead, being chased by Teo Fabi. Rick Mears in third, and Al Unser Jr. now sitting in 4th place, but beginning to close on Rick Mears. That's the slower car of Dick Ferguson out in front of Tom Sneva. As Sneva closes down, Ferguson is running off. Sneva actually the leader on the race course at the moment. But little Al Gordy doing a wonderful job.
Yes, Paul. He's been doing a wonderful job all year long. The kid uses his head, you know. You would think he'd been in championship racing with us for 7 or 8 years, but this is only his second year. He ran a couple races last year. It's only his second year with us, and if there ever was a natural in championship auto racing, it's Al Unser Jr.
Of course, despite his age, he has tremendous experience. Started out in the sprint cars, was the Can-Am champion, made the move to the Indy cars this year, and is really doing a wonderful job. As we watch, Tom Sneva in car number 5, leading the Skoal Bandit tail Bobby, car number 33, a car trimmed in green. Many people have superstitions against it, but it's working for Tail. And now, Little Al closing right up behind Rick Mears. Setting in his draft, darts out and around. Can he hold it? Indeed he does, and Little Al now pushes past Rick Mears and drops into 3rd place. So the standings at the front of the race change once again. It is now Sneva, Bobby, Little Al, and then Rick Mears. So the race running up at the front once again. A tremendous battle here at the Pocono 500 as they head down toward that first turn.
And look how quick he's closing in, Paul. You're going to see him right there on Babby right shortly. Look at him catch him there in number 1 corner, how quick he comes up on him too in number 1 corner. He's going down. He's getting a good draft on him going down the back straightaway. It looks like he might squeeze by him. Got by him going into 2.
So Little Al, using momentum from the first turn, gets past Tail Bobby and now moves up to join the battle with the leader, Tom Sneva. Here's Little Al coming down on the inside. Tries to pull alongside Sneva. Comes in. Sneva opens a gap for him. Little Al jumps into it. Al holds on and jumps into the lead, but Sneva veers to the left. Sneva heads down the pit. Tail Bobby closes up behind Little Al. Tom Sneva from the lead into the pit. Let's go to Gary Jarrell.
Sneva and his crew electing to pit at the extreme end of pit road, closest to turn number 1. He's off the throttle then as he comes down over this rough pit road surface. He comes in for what should be a routine stop, only the fact that it's under green flag conditions. No tire change for Sneva. They'll top off with fuel, but perhaps we've seen somebody dive under the rear wing, Paul. He may have killed the engine back here. Sneva's still in the pits. Indeed, he has killed the engine, so this is going to be a much longer stop than Sneva and the Big Naughty crew had anticipated.
From our vantage point here, Gary, you can see the crew member with the inertial starter trying to get that engine restarted. A long, long wait as the seconds tick away.
And Paul, further up in the pits, another potential problem. Indeed, there is fire at the rear of Danny Angaya's car. It appears that the rear wing has ignited. Water has been dumped on it. We have to assume it's from the exhaust heat of the engine, but it keeps flaming back up. And once again, a lick of flame at the rear of Angaya's car. The concern would be that they continue to throw water, that they might short out some of the electrical equipment or kill the engine of this car.
Now, Danny Angayas not being able to get that car restarted. The car on loan to the Patrick Racing Team is actually owned by Angayas and his partner, Teddy Field. It appears that it might be completely stalled out of the race. Here's the lead once again. These 2 cars for the past several laps have been chopping at one another. Currently, the lead belongs to Al Unser Jr. with Tail Bobby right behind, but Bobby has been closing up, trying to get past Al consistently.
Yes, he has, Paul. He's been driving a real smooth, consistent race today. He's been racing with us all season long, and each race he gets better and better, especially on his pit stops, because in the past, where he came from Formula 1, they didn't have pit stops like we do here. And today he's been driving a real smooth race and making real excellent pit stops.
Tail Bobby blindingly fast, but has yet to put his name in the winner's column in a kart race. But now, both he... And we've got a problem. A car into the wall. Johnny Rutherford slams the first turn wall, not far from where he hit it last year. The car comes to a stop. The right side of the car completely sheared away. Let's see if Johnny Rutherford is all right as the caution light flashes on again at the Pocono 500. Rutherford moving in the cockpit does not appear to be injured, but the car badly damaged.
Well, it certainly looks like it, Paul. I don't know what happened, but entering turn 1, something must have broke on the car because it just looked like he didn't make a spin or anything. I don't believe it. Just totally went against the wall on the right side and took the whole right side of the car completely off. He's up out of the car now, so it looks like John is all right. Thank goodness.
The crews are there. Small fire at the back of the car. Nothing serious, nothing to worry about. The right side of the car giving away, and of course that helps cushion the shock to the driver. But the only Wildcat March in the Patrick stable now has heavy damage to the right side. But the good news, Johnny Rutherford, okay, there's where a section of the tire went through one of the photo stands here at the track. Gives you an idea of the energy involved. Let's go down to Gary Gerald, who's now with Johnny Rutherford.
I know this is what you don't want to be doing at this point. Can you tell us what happened?
Well, I don't really know, Gary. The thing was running super. You know, I could drive it anywhere I wanted to, and we were a little short on steam, but it's a long race, and I thought when the thing was over, we'd be in awfully good shape. I went sailing into turn one, and all of a sudden, the right front corner made a sound of some sort, almost like a tire losing the air, and the thing dropped down, and then, of course, I had no control then. It went right straight for the wall. Sure was a long way from where it went down to where it hit the wall, though, I'll tell you.
Well, we had confirmation. One of the spotters with our camera down in that corner said they also heard something that they thought may well have been a tire let go. I guess if there's any consolation, you hit the wall in almost the same place as last year, but not nearly as hard this time.
Well, thank God. That was the other thing. Oddly enough, I don't know if I hit my hand or not, but my my hand that I broke last year hurts a little bit right now.
Well, as they pick the car up, it's good to see that Johnny Rutherford is okay. We're under caution at Pocono as NBC Sports World continues. Pocono 500, it's Rick Mears, the defending champion, car number 1, the Pennzoil Penske that's out in front. Right behind him, car 33, Teo Fabi, the man who seems to want to fight with everybody for the lead. At the beginning of the race, he battled with Tom Sneva and then picked up a fight with Little Al, and now it's Rick Mears out in front and Teo right behind him and continuing to chop away. Teo Fabi very, very fast in qualifying, qualified in second position. He's been on the pole several times this season, now is proving that he is certainly agile on the race course.
Yes, he has, Paul. He's been right there all day. He's either been running first, second, or third. I think he did get behind a little one time there when he didn't make his pit stop right when he should have, when the rest of the leaders did. But other than that, he's been right there all day. As you can see him right there behind Rick now.
But using Rick Mears' draft, Teo Fabi pulls to the inside, darts across the bump. Can he hold it? Can he push into the lead? Fabi gets it done as Teo moves out in front. Rick Mears pulls way high in turn 1, almost losing it as Fabi pushes out in front. Rick drops back to second, and just 2 seconds back now is Little Al.
Quick note from the pits, Paul. Al Aquasto from nearby Easton, Pennsylvania, who earlier indicated this would be his last start in an Indy car, apparently out of the competition with a blown engine.
Now Little Al comes up to challenge Rick Mears in second. This is a fight for second place. Fabi is in front. Again, Little Al way down on the course, able to use almost the apron of the course as he tries Rick Mears, but doesn't get past him.
Yes, Paul, you could see where his left side was prettier on the graph. Then when he got so close behind him, he didn't make it by him. You could see the front end go over because he didn't have any down pressure on the front wing.
Here he tries it again. Little Al down inside Rick Mears. He forces Rick up high on the course. He holds in position. Now will his engine hold on this long pond straight as Little Al pulls ahead of Rick Mears, occupies second place. We continue to have a marvelous fight here at the front. It's Teo Fabi still out in front. So March is in first and second place, and then this TC10. Last year, a problem, a car spinning. Kevin Kogan down off the course. He spun it on the straightaway. Rather than in a turn, something must have broke.
Definitely so, Paul. It looked like he was just entering turn 1. He wasn't quite there. Something must have locked up in the rear end or something because it looked like the back wheels were just sliding and he didn't come close to the wall. Very luckily, he went down instead of going up. There was nobody underneath him trying to get by him.
Well, fortunately, Kevin Kogan didn't hit anything as he spun off the course, but it does bring the caution flags out as Kevin Kogan climbs out of his number 6 machine. Safety crews are there. Kogan stumbles just a bit on even ground as he climbs out. Let's go to Gary.
Well, Paul, we talked with him earlier this afternoon. He was starting from the pole position. He had high hopes at that time. Those high hopes have now gone for naught. Apparently, it was something in the rear end of the gearbox now.
Yeah, it just wouldn't catch any of the gears. It wouldn't go into gear, so we were out of business.
So the Big Noddy Cotter team now done for the day with Kogan and Sneva out. The green flag comes out once again, and it's Teo Fabi now being chased by Al Jr. and Rick Mears in line, coming through the flag and heading through the first turn as we're back to racing at the Pocono 500.
They're going through turn 1 now, Paul. Look at it. There's a pretty good race back there for 4th, 5th, and 6th yet, it looks like. There's quite a few cars running in the race yet over what they had last year. Fabi's out there in front running pretty smoothly and free, though. If Little Al catches him, it's going to be a heck of a job because Fabi has really done a terrific job all day long of really running smooth and using his head.
Well, Barry Green and the Forsythe Brothers crew have done a remarkable job with that machine. The march is currently in the hands of Teo Fabi, and it is running well here today. It looks like Teo, as a rookie, indeed has a shot. We've got a car spinning. A car up against the turn 3 wall. It's Peter Holzberg, car number 66, slamming the same wall that Whittington hit in the early going and resting against the wall now. The crew's there. Let's see if Peter Halsmer is all right. He took a hard smack into the wall. Peter Halsmer unbuckles the 5th wall banger of the day here at Pocono. Let's go back to the pits. Kevin Kogan is with Gary Gerald.
Well, Kevin, you ran well through much of this race today. Now it's all over. What was the problem? Any particular thing you can point your finger at?
Well, the rear end locked up solid just past the straightaway here, and I tried to clutch it, and it didn't release. So obviously, when I got to the turn, the car was sideways, and I spun it into the infield, which was lucky because the rear end just locked absolutely rock solid. I never felt any car do that before.
Well, Peter Halsmer being removed on the stretcher, so perhaps there is injury there. Now, let's go back to our studio at 30 Rock. Back at the Pocono 500, car number 33, the Skoal Bandit. Teo Fabi, the driver, is out in front and has a shot at winning the Pocono 500. This man, who in 1976 was the European go-kart champion, made the switch out of Formula One into the Indy cars this year, has had a remarkable season, but as yet does not have a win in the Indy cars. But it looks like he has his chance here today because Teo Fabi is out in front.
Well, he's been out in front pretty much all day, Paul. He's led the majority of the laps today, and like we said before, he's really run a smooth, consistent race. He's made a lot better pit stops today than I've seen him make in the past, and, you know, you can bet he's coming on strong and learning fast.
There you see the difference between first and second place, because here comes the second place car of Al Unser Jr., that Coors Light Bullet. He has been running in second place consistently behind Teo, but right now, something would have to go seriously wrong with Teo's car if Al is to catch up. And here comes Howdy Holmes. Looks like a fire at the back of his car.
Howdy Holmes coming directly toward his Paul. A belt is played from the rear of the car. It appears to be the turbocharger. He's rolled past his pit, turns the corner by us here. Fire and safety crews scrambling up. Dennis Swan saying no cause for alarm. Apparently it's just blown itself out at the turbocharger. Really a fire of little consequence. And Howdy Holmes is out of the race. That's a great disappointment to him.
Well, the last thing the crew would like to see at that point is for someone to come along with a fire extinguisher and spray that very abrasive purple K onto the car, because it will just ruin the engine system. They wanted the fire to burn itself out. It did that. But Teo Fabi now onto the main straightaway, and Nick Panoro has the white flag, 2.5 miles, one more lap to go. If he completes it out in front, he will win his first ever IndyCar race as the man from Milan heads down to the first turn.
Well, it definitely looks like, Paul, like he's going to win it. He's closing up on the back of Big Al there, and probably could very easily go by him if he wanted to, but he's using his head, staying back. He knows pretty much where Al Jr. is at, and knows there's no alarm. He only has one lap to go, so he's certainly not taking any chance at this point. Driving a very, very smart race.
A nice, an easy, a smart race for Teo Fabi. Al Unser Sr. out in front of him, down off the leader, Serio. Teo has one more turn now, and he will be the winner of the Pocono 500. The legend of '83 continues. 6 different races, 6 different winners. The last turn for Teo. The crowd cheers. His engine roars. The checkered flag flies, and the Skoal Bandit, Teo Fabi, number 33, the Forsythe Brothers car, has won the Pocono 500. There goes little Al in second place. So rookies finishing first and second here at Pocono. Teo Fabi waves to the crowd. Little Al right behind him on the course finishes in second. And what a party begins now for Barry Green and the Forsythe Brothers crew. Here comes Rick Mears. Our defending champion finishes in third. But it's Teo Fabi, the winner, here at Pocono. And we'll be back to visit Teo Fabi in his first ever IndyCar victory circle right after this. Has won the Domino's Pizza Pocono 500. He's now in victory lane. The car's silent after such a long day. And Gary Gerald is there with him. Let's go to Gary.
Teo Fabi here in the cockpit, Paul, peeling the gloves, the balaclava, getting the earplugs, the radio out. Here comes the Skoal Bandit hat. Congratulations from Barry Green, the Forsythe Brothers. Teo, it's been a remarkable year already. As a rookie, you come in here and you win the one that I know you've wanted for so long. What's the feeling like right now?
Well, I think we had bad luck on the few race before this one, and today everything went very well.
But actually, I understand there was a problem. You had no radio contact with your crew. Was that a difficulty for you?
No, because we had no problem with the car, so everything went very good.
The communication with your pit board on the wall, you were able to understand there was no problems there?
No, no problem at all.
How about the roughness of the racetrack? There was so much concern about the rookie drivers here. Any difficulties for you or the car?
Well, for sure, it's been a very hard race for the car and for the driver, especially because Alan Jr. was very quick, and it was a very good race.
You won in Can-Am competition. Now you're a winner in the Indy cars. How many more are you going to win, Teo? Ready for a bunch of them?
Well, for sure we're going to try.
All right. The smile tells it all, Paul. For the second time in as many races this season, we have a rookie in victory lane.
Not only in victory lane, little Al in second place, also a rookie here at Pocono. The results now official. Teo and Al first and second, then Rick, then Mike Mosley, and Bobby Rahal.